What's up, guys? I am coming to you straight from the sun. No, the sun's just kind of in my eyes. I don't know. Live, but I'm not live in my backyard. I'm live in my backyard. This video is not live in my backyard. Anyway, it's cool to have a backyard. That's the cool things in Atlanta. It's been so long since I've had a backyard, since I was like a kid. Anyway, last week was a good week. I think I had one audition. Week number 8 was last week, I believe. So statistics for 2018, we have 17 auditions, 2 callbacks, 3 bookings. Tomorrow I head out to Kentucky, where I start that film, and then I think 3 days next week, and then 2 days the week after that. So I have 6 filming days on this film. Kentucky here has a lot of good tax credits going on, a lot of tax rebates and incentives for the film industry. So there's going to probably be a lot more filming going on there. Thanks for all the suggestions that keep coming in. There's a lot of things I have to get to, and I think I'll still have 40 videos or so I'll definitely get there. But one thing that I consistently get asked is how I began as an actor, how I found an agent specifically. And it's how much time do you have? It's not really a simple thing. It's there's no guidebook for this kind of stuff, and I've seen. Well, I'll get into that. So, actually, I should start with that. So I've seen actors who, we all hear these things like these actors who get plucked from obscurity, who suddenly they just appear in 10 movies and you've never heard of them before. And I know a couple actors who seemingly were nobodies whose first credits are these huge films. I know a few people. I know actors who moved to LA and within 6 months they're a series regular and they've never looked back. And then I also know actors who were in, I think one of my friends who recently left the business, she was an actor for 16 years before she got her first speaking part on a television show. So it's like I know people at all ends of the spectrum here, and it's weird. It's weird how everything works. There's really no rhyme or reason in a lot of this stuff, and I think that's one of the things that we, as actors, we really have to remind ourselves is so much of this stuff is, it's it's just not in our control, and can only put so much weight on can only put so much weight on what the industry is in your life, otherwise you just drive yourself mad. Anyway, how did I get started as an agent? And this, I'm going to do a very quick summary. So this was back in college. I think I was like 20 years old or so, and I went to this event. It was called Pro Scout. I don't know if it's still around or not, but Pro Scout cost like, I don't know, $500 or $600. It was in Boston the first time I did it. And you pay $600 and you go and spend a weekend at like the Marriott Hotel or whatever it was, and you are in front of 50 casting directors, agents, managers, that kind of thing. So I went there, paid $600, went there for the weekend, and so the way that it worked is like the first day you get this number that you wear on your chest, because that's all you are, is a number. And the first day I believe you just kind of walk like a catwalk, like a model, and you walk, and there's each of the 50 agents, managers, casting directors, like they're all in chairs and they're just watching you, judging you, and you just you have your number and you're just smiling, making a nice impression. Hi, how are you? That kind of thing. And then the next day, so I should say, like, this event, it's well attended. I think there's hundreds of people there, thousands if you include like their parents, type of thing. So it's a big event, and like I said, I'm not sure if they're still around, but anyway, so I was one of, say, I don't know, 400 actors or models or whatever you want to call us. And so you walk around the catwalk day 1. Day 2, you go up and you perform a 60-second monologue, and you do this in front of the whole room. It's a huge like ballroom gallery type of thing. So you have 1,000 people, 1,000 spectators, 50 of which are casting directors, agents, managers, that kind of thing. So I go up there, and I remember I did my monologue, and I had this movie Varsity Blues, which you guys probably remember. So there's the scene where James Van Der Beek, and he's giving this emotional speech in the locker room near the end of the movie, right when they fire the coach who's been a bastard. And then he gives this impassioned speech, and if I could remember, I would do it for you right now. But James Van Der Beek does this hoorah speech, and I did that, and you get some gentle claps from the audience. And then after everybody does their monologue, you go back into the audience, and then the host of the event comes up on stage, and they say, if you hear your number, we're going to announce each agency or casting director or manager, and then we're going to call a number. So if you hear your number, after the event, you go outside, you find that agency. He'll be sitting at a table, or they'll be sitting at a table, and you guys have a little conversation. So out of the 50 that were there, only one agency called my number. And so I should preface this also by saying, when I was walking around and kind of like when the model, and you have your number on, and you're holding like your headshot up as well. So you're just saying hi, nice to meet you type of thing. There's no time for conversation at that point. You're just literally in a line walking in front of them. And I'd say at least 25 of those casting director, agent, managers said that I was too old to be starting. And mind you, I was like 20 or 21, 22 maybe. Excuse me. I think every video I've burped. Anyway, so I was like, they said I was too young, and I was in college. It was bizarre. And I should say I was one of the oldest ones there. A lot of them were kids and teenagers, but I might have been the oldest. I don't remember, but then definitely one of the oldest. So I got told a lot of times that I was too old to be starting in this business. You got to start young. So anyway, this one agent called me afterward. I went up to talk to him, and he said if I ever make my way to New York to give him a call. Right. So fast forward, I don't know, it was like 6 months later, I tried another Pro Scout event. This time it was in Rochester, New York, and it was same exact event. I think most of them, and agents and managers and cast directors were very similar in attendance. And the same agency called me again, and he was the only one to call me, mind you. So fast forward to the end of my college, I stayed home for a year and I worked, saved the money to move to New York City, and I called him right before I was about to go down and said, hey, do you remember me from Pro Scout? He absolutely remembered me, and I'm going to try and stay in the shade like the sun's coming out, but he remembered me. He told me to call him when I get to New York. I did. I called him when I got down to New York. He was working at an agency as a commercial agent. So I signed with him commercially. It lasted for about 3 months. I went on maybe 2 or 3 auditions in those 3 months, and then he called and said he was leaving New York, so he couldn't represent me anymore, and he went out to LA. Bam, I was agentless again, and I stayed that way. I stayed agentless for almost 5 years after that point. Just spending time, like I've mentioned so many times in these videos, just doing background work, doing student films, just these indie projects, anything, just working for free constantly, just making myself a better actor and adding value to myself. And then I forget what I was doing, but I was someplace and I saw like an ad for a seminar where this agent that used to represent me commercially was coming to New York, and he's doing this seminar, and he wanted to meet actors again. So I signed up. I went to meet him, and sure enough, he remembered me from 5 years ago, and we started talking. He had left the agency that I was working with at the time to start his own agency in LA, which he did, and now he's opening a second branch in New York City. So I signed with him, and I was with him for just up till like the end of 2016, so it was a good like 7 years, and I love this guy. He's I felt horrible. Part of the reason I left was, this is a slight tangent, but whatever. It's sharing is caring, right? And this guy he's a great guy, great agent, and ultimately I left because I felt like I had hit a ceiling, a personal ceiling there, where we worked really hard and we worked really well together, and we got a lot of great credits on the resume. We came really far, but there was a point where I just needed to get into more offices, get seen by people that weren't seeing me yet, get seen for bigger parts, and it kind of hit this level where the biggest part I was getting was like large co-stars. And going way back in my video, you can't stay at the same level forever. So I ultimately it was a purely business decision to leave, and it hurt, honestly. It hurt a lot because I felt very loyal to him. And like I said, he's a really good person as well. And yeah, it hurt, and he's the only guy, like I said, that gave me a shot 6 years ago when I was in college. He's the only guy, or 7 years ago. At that point, I guess it was like 12, 15, whatever many years ago, 12 or 13 years ago. He's the only guy that really gave me a shot. So I felt kind of like shit leaving him. But, going back to the Pro Scout event as well, there's this one manager there, and he's still in business today, and I really wanted to be with this guy. He had that guy in One Tree Hill, Chad Michael Murray, which supposedly was discovered at one of these Pro Scout events. But he represented him, and he represented one of the actors from Vampire Diaries. I can't remember the actor's name. And I was like, okay, if I can get with this manager, I'm gonna be on One Tree Hill 2. I'm gonna be on Two Tree Hill, 2 trees on a hill, whatever the sequel would be. That was gonna be my show, and not Vampire Diaries. I was gonna be like vampire novels. That's a terrible analogy, but that was gonna be my show. And I remember I just really wanted this guy, and I talked to him after the event. Reluctantly, he talked to me back, I'm sure, because I was just like this naive young actor, and I didn't know any better than just to be this stupid, needy actor. So anyway, I talked to him a little bit outside, and yeah, he said he's one of the ones that said that I was just too old for him. He likes finding the actors who start younger in their career and helping them build a career from when they're younger. It's just easier. And and then after we had a good conversation, a couple hours later, he was on the elevator with me, and I was like, I gotta try again. So we ended up talking, and I was like, what do I have to do to work with you? What needs to be done? And he just wouldn't. He just said I was too old. That was like the biggest thing. I didn't have any experience coming in as a early 20-something-year-old. Was just with no credits. It's just it wasn't a financially wise decision for him. He wasn't going to spend a bunch of time on me. It was just a bad business decision for him to try and take on somebody who's already older than the typical actor he works with. But anyway, I always thought that was a weird thing as well to know, because now I know actors that are, there's a lot of actors out there who didn't even get their big break, as they call it, till later in life. Like John Hamm got Mad Men when he was like 40-something. He'd worked a little bit before that, but that was like his first major thing, and he was like young 40s or something like that. People like Harrison Ford, he didn't break out till he was 40. I think it's no, not Samuel Jackson. Morgan Freeman. He didn't get his start till really late in the game as well. So that's the kind of stuff that us actors like to hear as well when we haven't hit our big break yet. and we hear like these major stars that they got their start late in the game as well. It's like, okay, I still got time. This guy's still got time. So anyway, I think that's about it for this week. So do I really have a bullet point list of how to get started, how to get an agent? No, and I don't think there is one. The best thing I think any person, doesn't matter how old you are, if you're interested at all, I guess, you know, not even, this doesn't even have to pertain to the acting industry per se, but it's like you just got to do what you can with what you got. I remember before I even thought about moving to New York, I kind of was just poking around the internet on Google and ended up finding different kinds of actor sites and just reading articles about what I should do, finding out like what makes a good headshot. So there's little things that you can do. Even though I was 4 hours from New York City and could never get down there and actually put effort into it, you know, I did some theater because that's what was available to me. So these are the kind of things. Just, you got to start with what you got. Start small. Google is probably your best friend. Just poking around, and you know, I'm a resource here too. And that's kind of the purpose of these videos is, you know, I've learned so much over the course of 14, 15 years that I always thought these videos would kind of be a good way to share a lot of the stuff that I've learned. So, because I spent, I don't know, the first 2 years or so in New York City was, so I wasted so much money and so much time and so much energy on different classes and just figuring out what direction to go as an actor. And if I could help in any way, like help people so they don't have to waste as much time and energy and money as they're going to anyway, if I can kind of expedite a little bit of the process, that's what these videos are for. Anyway, I know this probably wasn't the most interesting video to date, but it's something that comes up a lot. And so what a lot of people ask me, how do I get agents? How did I start as an actor? And now I think I should just wrap it up by saying, once you kind of get involved and, you know, as you kind of move up the chain, how do you get new agents? How do you get new managers? And again, it's like, I don't know if there's a real answer. Probably the best thing that happens is referrals. You get referred by other actors that you meet that are that recommend you to their agents. That's honestly the best way. Otherwise, it's, you know, you just keep doing work and hopefully something gets recognized that you're in. Maybe it ends up at Sundance or becomes some cult classic indie film. You know, it's that and referrals, I say, the two biggest ways to and they might be like the only ways at a certain point. Once you kind of get past like the tier 1 agencies, and because tier 1 agencies, they're a lot more, they sign more actors. They're smaller agencies, and they're kind of, you know, they don't have, I don't want to get into reasons why they, like their business models and stuff, because I don't know that stuff. But anyway, there's a lot of smaller agencies, which a lot of actors which don't have a lot of credits or resumes, they're easier to get with. You can meet them easier. But once you kind of get to a certain point, like I said in some of the other videos, where you just kind of got to get up to that next tier. In order to get to that next tier, you got to be on the right team. And how do you get on those teams? Yeah, it's through referrals or some crazy path of discovery, like some cult classic. You just get in the right project. Anyway, I'm going to keep rambling if I go on with this stuff. So anyway, I will talk to you guys again next week. Maybe I'll do a video from Kentucky. And keep those suggestions coming. And thanks for the support.